Find myself Srija. So today you are going to learn about the peripheral nervous system and also the autonomic nervous system. So what is peripheral nervous system? The introduction. So it is the part of the nervous system located outside the brain and spinal cord. So it acts as a communication link between the central nervous system and rest of the body such as limbs, organs and tissues. So the CNS it acts as a control center, whereas PNS nothing but peripheral nervous system, it acts as a messenger network. So what are the main functions of the peripheral nervous system? So it transmits sensory information from body to CNS. So this PNS it carries the sensory signals like touch, pain and temperature from the body to the CNS for processing. So the next function, it carries the motor commands. So it sends the motor instructions from the CNS to muscles and glands, and also it helps in movement and responses. The other function, it regulates both the voluntary and involuntary activities. So what is voluntary activity? The actions you control, example walking and writing. Whereas involuntary activities, it's an action that happen automatically, for example heartbeat and digestion. So when you touch a hot object, for example, so the sensory nerves, what does this do? They send a pain message to the spinal cord and brain. So after taking the message from spinal cord and brain, this CNS it processes it and it sends back a motor command via the peripheral nervous system so that you pull your hand away quickly. So here it's a picture of peripheral nervous system, and the brain and spinal cord, it is central nervous system. The network of blue nerves spreading throughout the body is peripheral nervous system. So the arrow shows the two-way communication between CNS and the body parts. So now let's talk about the divisions of the peripheral nervous system. So what are the divisions of peripheral nervous system? So it is divided into two main parts. What are they? Somatic nervous system and autonomic nervous system. So this somatic nervous system, it helps in voluntary control, whereas autonomic nervous system, it helps in involuntary control. So this somatic nervous system, so it is made up of cranial nerves, spinal nerves and also the motor neurons. So they contain two types of nerve fibers. So what are they? Sensory neurons, nothing but efferent neurons. They carry information to the CNS, and motor neurons, they carry the commands from CNS to the muscles. So what are the functions of the somatic nervous system? They control the voluntary movements. Nothing but movements like you can consciously control. For example, walking, writing, eating. And whereas sensory neurons, they send information from the skin, muscles and joints to the CNS. So motor neurons. So what does motor neurons do? They send instructions from the CNS to the skeletal muscles, telling them to the move, right? So in the diagram, you can see the right side, you can see the somatic nervous system and also the autonomic nervous system. So what are the differences over here? You can see it clearly. So somatic nervous system, the left side, it shows the direct pathway from brain and spinal cord to the skeletal muscles, whereas in autonomic nervous system, it includes an extra link called as autonomic ganglia. So before it reaches the organs, there is an extra nerve called as autonomic ganglia. So this is the difference in between these two systems. So now coming to the autonomic nervous system. So what is autonomic nervous system? So what does it do? So this system, it controls all the involuntary actions of the body, all the involuntary activities that once you do without thinking, right? So what are the activities you do without thinking? There are many activities like heart rate, digestion, respiration, gland secretion, blood pressure. So these are all the involuntary actions. We do not think before doing it. They are involuntary, right? So what are the functions of the autonomic nervous system? It works automatically. The name itself shows you it works automatically. So no conscious control. So it also keeps the body in balance, such as homeostasis. So regulating the function or temperature related to environment. So it makes sure the internal functions stay steady even when the environment changes. So there are subdivisions of the anatomic nervous system. So what are the subdivisions? Sympathetic nervous system, parasympathetic nervous system, and sometimes enteric nervous system is included and sometimes it is not included. So what do you mean by sympathetic nervous system? So it activates the body during stress or danger. So what is the example of SNS? It increases the heart rate, widens pupils, and it also stops the dilatation. So where this is originated? It is originated thoracic and lumbar regions of the spinal cord, T1 to L2. So parasympathetic nervous system, it is also called as rest and digest. So this parasympathetic nervous system, it calms the body after the stress. For example, like slows heart rate, it stimulates the digestion and also it conserves the energy. Then coming to enteric nervous system, it is sometimes included as the third part and sometimes it is not included. So what does it do? It controls the digestive tract independently, but it works with the ANS. So in simple words, sympathetic system is a gas pedal. It speeds up the body functions. Whereas parasympathetic nervous system, it's like a brake pedal. It slows down the things slowly. So together they keep your body balanced and ready for any situation. So here you can see the picture of the parasympathetic system and sympathetic system. So how the organs are involved over in this. It's a simple explanation, the differences between both the sympathetic and parasympathetic systems. So coming to first part, eye. So eyes means pupil. So in parasympathetic, coming to parasympathetic, it constricts the pupils, means for near vision. Whereas in sympathetic, it dilates the pupils. So for better vision in danger. For parasympathetic, it stimulates the saliva flow. Whereas in sympathetic, it inhibits the flow of the saliva. Heartbeat slows down over here, accelerates over in the sympathetic, and here bronchi gets constricted, means a normal breathing, whereas here bronchi gets dilated, so we need more oxygen intake for breathing. Coming to lungs, this constricts the normal breathing and over here it dilates the bronchi. And coming to the stomach and intestines, this stimulates digestion, it inhibits the digestion. So coming to pancreas, liver and etc., they stimulates the hormonal pigments and here they convert the glycogen into glucose for quick energy. And adrenal glands. So no major effect over here. So in simple words, the parasympathetic system, it keeps the body calm and relaxed. So it helps in digestion, rest and also the recovery. So rest and digest. Whereas coming to the sympathetic system, it activates the body during danger or stress. It also increases the energy and alertness. So it is called as fight or flight system. So this is about the parasympathetic system and sympathetic system. So this system helps the body to relax and cover after the stress. So it converts the energy and it maintains the normal body functions like digestion, urination and gland secretion. So what is the origin of the parasympathetic nervous system? So it is originated from the brainstem through cranial nerves 3, 7, 9 and 10. So from this spinal cord, from the sacral spinal cord is nothing but the lower part of the spinal cord, it is originated. So what are the functions of the parasympathetic nervous system? They slows the heartbeat, heart rate, it also increases the dilation and it promotes the relaxation. Now coming to the enteric nervous system. So this is a special network of nerves in the walls of the digestive tract. So they can function independently even without help from the brain or the spinal cord. So it works closely with the autonomic nervous system. So what are the functions of the enteric nervous system? They control the movement of food through the intestines. They also regulate the secretion of the digestive enzymes. So they also control the blood flow to the gut. So think of it as a mini brain. So it manages your digestion automatically. So this is all about the autonomic nervous system. So coming to the cranial and spinal nerves. So how many cranial nerves are present? How many spinal nerves are present in a human body? So what are cranial nerves? These nerves arise directly from the brain, not the spinal cord, right? So they control the head, face, neck, and also the internal organs like heart, lungs, and digestive organs. So here all the pairs of cranial nerves, 12 pairs of cranial nerves over here. So these nerves arise directly from the brain. So the first cranial nerve is olfactory nerve. So what is the function of olfactory nerve? It helps in smell. Whereas second cranial nerve, it's an optic nerve. It helps in vision. And third cranial nerve, it is an oculomotor nerve. So it helps in eye movement. Fourth cranial nerve, it's a trochlear nerve. It also helps in the eye movement. And sixth nerve, it also helps in the eye movement. Seventh nerve is a facial nerve. So it plays a role in the facial expression and the taste. So coming to eighth cranial nerve, it is a vestibulocochlear nerve. So this plays a function role in the hearing and balance. So what is the ninth cranial nerve? It's a glossopharyngeal nerve. So this helps in taste and swallowing. So 10th nerve is vagus nerve. So 11th nerve is accessory nerve. And 12th is hypoglossal nerve. So the name itself tells you that glosso means tongue, right? So this functions, it helps in the movement of tongue. So this is all about the cranial nerves, the 12 pairs of the cranial nerves. And coming to the spinal nerves. So how many spinal nerves are there? 31 pairs of spinal nerves are there in spinal cord. So they arise from the spinal cord. The cranial nerves arise from the brain, whereas spinal nerves, they arise from the spinal cord. So they connect the central nervous system to the rest of the body. So each spinal nerve has two roots. What are they? The dorsal root and the ventral root. This dorsal root, they carries the sensory information from body to CNS, whereas ventral root, they carries the motor information from CNS to the body. So what is the classification of the spinal nerve? The cervical, thoracic, lumbar, sacral, and coccygeal. So C1 to C8. So what does the cervical nerves do? It controls the neck, shoulders, and arms. The main function is it controls the neck, shoulder, and arms. Whereas thoracic segments from T1 to T12, it controls chest and abdomen. And lumbar spinal nerve, there are five pairs of lumbar spinal segments. So they control lower back and also they control the legs movements. So the sacral spinal segments. So what are sacral spinal segments? These are 5 in pairs. So they control the pelvic organs and also the lower limbs. So the coccygeal spinal nerve, it is only a single pair. So it controls the tailbone, the coccyx area. So there are totally 31 pairs of spinal nerves. They form the peripheral nervous system along with the cranial nerves. So together these nerves helps in both the sensation and also the movement. So what are the functions of the peripheral nervous system? The peripheral nervous system, it connects the brain and spinal cord, right, to the rest of the body. So this peripheral nervous system, it performs 3 functions. So what are the functions? The sensory function, the motor function, and also the integration with the CNS. So the sensory function, the sensory nerves carry information from the sense organs like skin, eyes, ears, etc. to the central nervous system. For example, touching a hot surface, you can sense the nerves, you can sense the signals like pain to the brain. So here the sensory function activates. So coming to the next function, motor function. In motor function, the motor nerves, they carry the commands from the central nervous system to the muscles and glands. For example, the brain tells your hand muscles to pull back from a hot object. So in motor function, the motor nerves, they carry the commands from CNS to muscles and glands. So the brain tells your hand muscles to pull back from when you touch a hot object. So the third function is integration with CNS. So what is the integration? The peripheral nervous system and the central nervous system, they both work together to maintain the body function, right? So the central nervous system, they process the information, and also the peripheral nervous system, they act upon it. So this helps to maintain the coordination, communication and the body balance. So here to the right side, you can see the picture of what does the peripheral nervous system do. As I said you, it connects the central nervous system to the body parts. It carries the sensory and motor information to and from the central nervous system. It allows the brain and spinal cord to receive and send information to the other areas of the body. So it regulates the involuntary body functions like heartbeat and also the breathing. So what do you conclude about the peripheral nervous system? It connects the central nervous system to all the body parts. It ensures the sensory input reaching the CNS, and it delivers the motor output to effectors, muscles and glands. So it also maintains the coordination, control and communication throughout the body. So this is about the functions of peripheral nervous system. So next, coming to neurotransmitters used in the peripheral nervous system. So what are neurotransmitters? First, neurotransmitters are nothing but they are the chemical messengers. So what they do, they carry the signals between the nerve cells and from neurons to muscles or glands. So coming to somatic nervous system. So what is the major neurotransmitter over here? It is acetylcholine. So this acetylcholine, it stimulates the skeletal muscles to contract. For example, when you decide to move your arm, the ACH, the acetylcholine, is released at the neuromuscular junction to make the muscle fibers contract. So when coming to sympathetic nervous system, the neurotransmitter over here is norepinephrine and epinephrine. So they are also known as adrenaline. So what is the effect of this neurotransmitter? It increases the body activity. It also fight or flight response. So over here, it increases the heart rate and breathing. So it dilates the pupils and bronchi. It decreases the digestion. So these changes, it prepare the body to respond to stress or emergencies, right? So next, coming to the parasympathetic nervous system, the acetylcholine is also used as a neurotransmitter here. So what does this do? It calms the body. So it rest and digest response. So it calms the body, it slows the heartbeat, it stimulates the digestion and also the gland activity. So it promotes the relaxation and energy storage. So this is about the neurotransmitters that are used in the peripheral nervous system, right? So that's all about today's session. In the next session, you are going to learn about the ICD-10 CM guidelines. Thank you.